Welcome back to my new series where I take a look at various different characters from the Crash Bandicoot series and rank all of their boss fights. If you missed the first video, I'll link it down below, but we took a look at Dingodile and all of his boss fights. I imagine most of you did not expect this video to be next. I think most people probably thought I was going to make a video about Cortex or Engine, maybe Tiny. Nope, not yet. Today we're going to be looking at Crash Bandicoot boss fights, which funnily enough, he has more boss fights than Dingodile. Dingodile has 6, whereas Crunch has 7. Crunch's, however, span less total games than Dingodile's because most of them came from one game, the game he was introduced in, and was the main antagonist of, that being the Wrath of Cortex. Crunch is every single boss fight in that game. So yeah, the numbers were going to add up. But the Wrath of Cortex is not the only game that Crunch has boss fights in, there are a few more as well. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at him for this video. That being said, let's get into it. Coming in at number 7, my least favourite Crunch boss fight, Atmospheric Pressure. The boss from the 4th warp room in the Wrath of Cortex. Now of course, in the Wrath of Cortex, every boss fight is against Crunch, but each one uses the power of a different elemental. In this fight, he's got the power of Lolo, the elemental mask of air. Now don't get me wrong, this is a cool looking fight. Crunch is huge. He's firing lasers from his eyes and shit. My problem with it is that it's kind of like a crappier version of the engine fight from Crash Warped. And we all know Wrath of Cortex tried to be like Warped way too much. It copied it in so many different ways and it didn't really work out that well. This fight doesn't have any different phases or anything like that. It's just a continuous health bar that you have to chip away at. And it goes on for a bit too long. It really does start to drag toward the end. I never enjoyed doing this level when I was younger. It looks cool, like I said. It's just not that fun to play, so it ranks at number 7. Next up, we have Crunch's boss fight from Crash Entranced on the Game Boy Advance. It's a fairly interesting boss fight. Crash is on a magic carpet, meanwhile Crunch has a jetpack and a minigun, and a shield. The goal is to not get hit by any of his bullets, and also not get hit by any of the mysterious flying nitro crates that are in the air. It can be quite tricky not to get trapped between a nitro crate and one of Crunch's bullets. It's not overly difficult, you have an infinite amount of bullets yourself, so you can destroy the nitro crates. You just have to wait for Crunch to hit one of the crates, he'll then go down for a few seconds and you can hit him, and all you have to do is hit him 3 times, so it's over in about 20 seconds. It's a cool little fight though, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And for what it is, I don't know, I kind of liked it. At number 5, we have the Crunch fight from Mind Over Mutant. Of course, at this point in the series, Crunch is a friendly. He is at the end of Wrath of Cortex, but he's mind controlled, and of course that's the whole thing with this game. You get to use the TK Titan for this fight, which is the brand new Titan that was added to Mind Over Mutant, wasn't in Crash of the Titans. It starts off with a bunch of turrets that are firing missiles at you. You have to use the TK Titan's ability of picking things up to throw TNT crates at those robots. The second part is against Crunch himself. He's essentially running across, ducking behind cover. When he peeks out, he throws bombs at you, so you have to pick him up with the TK Titan and then throw him into a goddamn grinder. I mean, damn, are we trying to kill him here or what? You have to throw him into this grinder 3 times. And phase 3 has you taking over Crunch, and you have to destroy any minions that are trying to kill you, while also aiming for Embryo, who is running around frantically where Crunch previously was. It's not bad, I don't dislike it by any means. I like how you have to actually use the TK Titan for this fight. It is a lot of the same though at the end of the day, it's just aiming at a target on the other side of the arena. But it isn't bad, so it ranks at number 5. At number 4, we have Rumble in the Rocks. In this fight, Crunch has the power of Rocco, the Earth Elemental, and it's quite unique because you actually use the Atmosphere for this boss fight. The Atmosphere being one of the vehicles that you get to use in the earlier levels before this, and later on in the game as well. The gist of this boss fight is there are boulders rolling around this arena. Crunch is also rolling around in his own ball, and when you crash into one of these boulders that are rolling around, it'll turn to your color, which is blue. Don't know why Crunch's color is orange, not Crash, because, you know, Crash is orange, but the goal is to hit all of the boulders and turn them to your color, and when you do that, Crunch will take damage. However, like I said, Crunch can also hit them, and if he touches them, they turn to orange, and if you touch an orange boulder, you'll take damage, so you kind of have to wait a little bit, then turn it to your color. It's an interesting enough boss fight, it's quite fun, can be a bit annoying here and there when you barely miss a boulder that's rolled straight past you. At that point, you've already slowed all of your speed down and you have to pick it back up, but overall, it's quite good. At number 3, we have Drain Damage, the boss from the 2nd warp room in the Wrath of Cortex, and in this one he has the power of Wawa, the elemental mask of water. In this fight, it's all about hopping platforms and timing your jumps so that you don't jump into one of Crunch's laser beams that he fires at you. But you can't just stand on the platform waiting for him to throw it at you and then jump over it, because if you're on the platform for too long, it will just sink. That's what I like about this fight. You have to time your jumps to know when to land on the platform, how long you're going to be on it for. You need to know if you're going to be jumping over a beam or ducking underneath one of the larger beams. And while it can be over quite quickly if you just fucking run for it and don't stop in between or anything, because there are little checkpoints where you can just wait and take a breather. It can be over very quick if you don't do that, but still, it's a very good boss fight in my opinion. At number 2, we have Crashes to Ashes, the boss from the third warp room in the Wrath of Cortex, and in this, Crunch has the power of Pyro, the elemental mask of fire. Now you've got the classic kind of level for Crash here, where he's running away from something, whether it be a gigantic boulder or, you know, rusty walrus or anything like that. In this case, you're dodging Crunch's boulders that he's throwing at you while you're running away. In later phases, when the boulders hit the ground, they split off into more boulders. But when you get to the end, you get to play the reverse card and chase Crunch down because you get control of a mech suit that sprays water. You need to try and hit Crunch with that before you return to the starting point to get chased again. There are obstacles to dodge on the way back as well because he drops mines behind him. Sometimes they can actually be quite hard to see as well, so you really have to look out for them. And assuming you hit Crunch, you then have to repeat the process, this time with added difficulty each time you do it. It's a brilliant fight, and you can't talk about Crashes to Ashes without mentioning the music. I imagine it's been playing the entire time I've been talking, but yeah, it's a banger. And at the number 1 spot, we have Crunch Time, the final level from the Wrath of Cortex. You're going up against Cortex, Crunch, Uka Uka, and the combined powers of all of the elemental masks. Crunch will basically call upon the various different elemental masks and they'll all do different things. So Rocco will have it rain meteors, Wawa summons ice balls which freeze you if you come into contact with them. Pyro sets different sections of the floor on fire, so you have to kind of look out for which one is about to ignite. And finally, Lolo makes bolts of electricity shoot across the floor. If you avoid all that bullshit, you can then shoot Crunch with the Wumpa gun. He then kicks Cortex down to the bottom where you can attack Cortex and deal some damage. Now this is a really good boss fight. It can be very challenging because you've got the various waves of elemental attacks that you have to dodge, and some of the timing can be quite tight. Again, it's one elemental after another, and then once you deal a bit of damage, you have to do it again, and at any point if you die, you have to restart the whole thing. So it can be a very difficult boss fight, but the idea of it is amazing. You're going up against every single villain from this game. Crunch is there, Cortex is there, Uka Uka's there, and all of the elementals are there too. And they're all trying to end your life. Definitely the best Crunch boss fight. And I don't suspect we'll be facing him anytime soon in the future, unless he manages to get himself hypnotized again. Although then again, Crash 4 kind of resetting things, so who knows? Who knows? That being said, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and I hope you look forward to more videos in this series. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree with my rankings. And that being said, I'll see you all in my next video.